Regional credits at Music Theater Wichita, North Shore Music Theater, and Sundance Summer Theatre precede her Broadway debut in the Tony Award-winning Best Musical, The Outsiders, where she covers the roles of Cherry Valance, Marcia, and Beverly. When she's not performing on stage, you can hear her singing down in the booth during Grease Got a Hold. Today's guest is Hailey Hyde. Welcome, Hailey. We are very excited to have you on today.
Thanks.
Yes. So you obviously you went to school for musical theater, you went to BYU.
Mhm.
What did that kind of getting into college for theater look like? Like what made you want to go to school and what were some of the things that you wanted and got out of like a BFA and going to school for that?
Totally. I think for me, when when it came time to start thinking about college, I was like, well, I'm doing theater. Like there just wasn't a choice in my mind, which I feel blessed and like grateful for because I know not everybody knows that going into college. I know sometimes that's like a big um point of career decisions and like deciding what major you want and testing things out. And I know I have friends who were a part of that journey and sometimes they were frustrated with that. So I feel really lucky that I felt called to do this from a pretty early age. Um, and it just felt like the only option for me. I don't know. I felt really excited about it and drawn to it. And so I applied to a couple schools in Utah and got into BYU and I was like, well, this is awesome. This feels right for me. And yeah, decided to go that route. I think schooling was super important to me. I had training growing up through Utah Copa. That's like a little musical theater. Well, not so little anymore, but it's a musical theater and pop and dance training for kids like 3 to 18, which is super awesome. And so that training really prepared me for college, but then college was also really important that I learned new awesome skills and met some really cool people. And yeah, I think it was important for me. I know not everybody, that's their journey. And I think there's no right answer, but for me, college was super important. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that answer. I have a very like I didn't start theater super young, but I kind of also had the thing when I was going to college. I was like, I'm gonna do theater, and there's like kind of nothing that's gonna sway me another way. So I love when I hear people like professionals that had the same thing that were like, I kind of always knew that I was gonna go into theater because it is really awesome to hear those stories of people who were like, oh, I got my like degree in like computer science, ended up on Broadway.
Yeah.
But it is really nice to also hear about the people who knew what they wanted and were
Mhm.
able to achieve that through school. I think that's always really wonderful. All right. You've done a lot of regional theater, not a lot of regional theater, but a good amount of regional theater before you got to Broadway. Some of your understudies, Elsa and Frozen, Sharon Rock of Ages, Mother and Ragtime, Dorothy and 42nd Street. And a lot of these understudy credits overlap theaters. So I'm curious what kind of work goes into building a relationship with these casting directors and just these directors in general that like trust you to take on these roles multiple times because learning obviously multiple tracks is a very difficult thing that it takes a really specific kind of person to do.
Totally. I think my first like real understudy, I'm like fact checking if this is true, but I'm pretty sure it is, was at Music Theater Wichita. And the first show I did there was 42nd Street, so understudying Dorothy, which, if you know the show, it's usually played by a woman that is much older than I was at the time. And so but it was such a cool experience. So Music Theater Wichita is such a cool opportunity, and I think everybody that's in college and wanting to do theater should audition. I think it's so awesome. So what they do is it's in Kansas and you can audition in a few cities like Chicago, in Wichita. They come to New York, maybe Oklahoma or Texas. I
Nice.
forget. I forget the states that they go to, but
Mhm.
um, if you're college age, you come audition, and they build a college ensemble that stays for the whole summer, essentially. So you get to do like 3 to 5 shows depending, which is super cool because usually the like show range is like all over the place. Like I did Cats and Ragtime in the same summer. Like that's awesome, you know? Um, to like get to do like a really cool repertoire of shows with people that are your age that want to do theater. And then they bring in New York talent for these lead roles. And so you're meeting people in the industry, you're learning from them. So I got to learn um, from Paula Leggett Chase. She played our Dorothy at the time. And so as a young performer, I just got to like watch her like in these rehearsals and be like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Like I'm learning from her essentially, just by watching. And so understudying there was super cool because the process is really quick because you do so many shows. So you like learn the show in essentially like a week and a half. You tech the show for like a week, and then you run the show for like a week and a half. So really quick. You're in rehearsals all day. It's so fun, and hard, but so good. And like I learned so much I did 2 summers there. And
Mhm.
so understudying there was really awesome because it's so quick. And so you're like really testing your ability to be like, okay, I'm memorizing these lines, but also my whole other like ensemble track. Because for the most part, when you're an understudy in those shows, you're also on the stage. So that was like super valuable. Uh, Things to learn for me because it kind of set up how I do my understudy process because I hadn't really had experience before. So I was asking people who I know had understudied, being like, how do you go about this? Like give me your tips. Doing lots of research on my own and just getting to watch these industry professionals like work was super valuable for me. So that was super awesome. At Music Theater Wichita. And then moving forward, because I had done those things and set up how my brain understands learning a track, I was able to, it was on my resume that I understudied. So then at North Shore, they were like, oh, can you be an onstage swing? And I was like, yep. And then they were like, can you understudy Elsa? I'm like, yep. So it's just, I think it set me up for a really great trajectory.
Yeah,
Long answer.
I'm sure it's different depending on like the theater and just how like casting works for that specific place. But at what point do you find out that like you're being considered for understudy part? Like, is it when you get like an offer? If they send an email like, "Hey, we want to offer you an ensemble position, but also can you cover this?" Or is it early in the process? Like, at what point are you kind of aware that like you're being considered for something like that?
Totally. I think for me, it has depended on the theater.
Yeah.
I like booked Music Theater Wichita for the summer, and then like before they hand you the script, they're like, "You're also going to understudy this." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Awesome." So like that was that experience. At North Shore, I had gone in for Elsa,
Okay.
but I think they might have already had someone to play her. Um, and so I think they were looking for understudies.
Yeah.
Um, so. I think I kind of knew at that point. I'm trying to like put my brain in that space, but I think it just depends on the timing. I think most of the time it's like when you get the offer for outsiders specifically, I knew right away. They were like, we're looking for booth understudy these people. So like before I had
Yes.
even auditioned,
Hmm.
I knew what track I was going in for. So I think it just depends.
Yeah. Do you like those kind of like clear, like we're looking for a cover calls, or do you enjoy kind of going in for like an ensemble or a principal call and like not, knowing if they're looking for those positions? Because I feel like I would like going into it knowing what they're looking for, but I don't know if you feel the same way.
I feel like either way, I'm along
Yeah,
for the ride.
right. That's a good
Yeah.
answer. Do you ever like kind of feel like there's extra pressure when you're a cover to like make a good impression because you're being, trusted with these multiple tracks, or are you able to kind of at this point in your career treat it like a normal, ensemble or principal track where you're just learning the one part?
Um, I think I always want to be like professional and good
Yeah,
if no matter if I'm understudying or in
yeah,
the ensemble. I think it's just I think I'm always just grateful to be here. I think that's like
Yeah.
where I come back to.
Yeah. And that is really like something that I have to think about a lot too. Like the fact that I even have the like resources to even study theater is
Totally.
something
Yeah.
not a lot of people have. So like you really do kind of have to lean on that, you know, when you're especially someone like when you're actively working.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite ensemble track that you've gotten to do in a show? Because I know some shows have like you like they'll have like the ensemble, like you know, it's like the person who does this fun thing, or like do you have any like that that you've been able to do that you really enjoyed?
Oh man, I feel like the first thing that comes to mind is 42nd Street,
Mm.
because that was just like so like you're doing the most. Like
Hmm.
so many quick changes, like the numbers that you're doing are so big and flashy and just like silly and fun. And the tap dance of it all, like that was super fun. I also think of Rock of Ages was super exciting and fun, being an ensemble member. I think I think I get really excited when like there's quick changes and like you're doing this and then like in the next scene you're like a completely different character. I think like those moments are super exciting and fun for me to
Yeah.
like be the world building of a show. Um, yeah, I think those things.
Yeah. I saw 42nd Street for the first time this summer because I worked at a theater that was doing 42nd Street and I came in like halfway through the run. So I was like, I guess I'll go see it. And I didn't know anything about it besides like they probably tap. And
Yeah.
I was like surprised at the sheer amount of it in the show. It was super impressive and super, super fun to watch. And like as someone who's done tap dance, I think that would be such a fun show to work on. So I love that answer. And Rock of Ages, I think, is my mom's favorite thing she's ever seen. I've taken her to see it a couple times, and she still is like, that is my favorite show. So I
Awesome.
love that one as well. Do you have any kind of advice for people who are studying theater or interested in pursuing theater that want to work in these like swing and understudy positions?
Mm, that's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to mind that doesn't necessarily apply to swinging or understudying, but like you have so much like right at your fingertips in college. Like we had studio space for free. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was in the studios a lot, but I think I still took it for granted. Like I should have been in there like every day, just like filming things, messing around with my friends. Like my friends and I did that a lot in college. We would have choreo nights, and I think that was like such a valuable time to just like be with friends, create with friends, make your own art. Like there's so many resources that I was like, this was for free and I wasn't using it. Now that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an adult and like have to pay for things. Not that you're not an adult when you're in college, because you are, but I think like using the resources is like so valuable. I think another thing is like learning to ask for help is super valuable. I think that's something that I met with a few friends that I knew that were in the program before me, and they had been living out in New York. I came out to New York and I went to lunch with them, and they were like, "Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions, like always." Um, they were like, posting on your story is like it feels silly, but like you can get so many connections and jobs through that. So right as I moved to New York, I was like, I posted on my story, I was like, hey, I just moved here and it's expensive, and these are the jobs that I would love to do. I could dog walk, I could nanny, I could cater, I could whatever. And I posted that on my story and was like, okay, we'll see if anybody responds. I got so many responses of people who like I know, but not super well, that was like, hey, like my cousin's aunt like needs this. And so that's how I got all my jobs when I first was here. And they were all super part-time, but I loved all of them and they allowed me to live in New York and audition. So that was like super valuable for me. And then like specifically with understudy swinging, um, I think asking questions, I was able to text people that I knew either in the industry or like that had gone to school before me, who had experience, and texting them and being like, hey, I would love any tips you have. And of course, they're so kind to uh, people just want to like help and give information. Because some of the things you just have to do by doing it, and there's not a lot of like, it's kind of like you're thrown into the fire. And so any chance, like if I had people reaching out to me wondering how to understudy swing, I am so freely giving the information that I have because I'm like, I want everybody to know how to do this because I think it's really valuable. I don't know if that answers the like question specifically, but those are some thoughts that I had.
Those are great. And it actually leads me into the next question I had very perfectly, which is what is something that you wish someone had told you before you went for your first understudy contract?
Totally. Understudy specific. I think like there's no right way to do it. I think I was like, I felt like I was missing something because I was like, this is crazy. Like, how are we all doing this? And I think like there's no one way to do it. I think like learning how your brain operates. I'm a very like handwritten person.
Mhm.
So for me, what it looks like is writing down literally everything that someone is telling me in that
Mhm.
track, in like a specific color. So like when I was learning uh Cherry and then Marcia and then Bev, I would use a pink, like I would write it in pencil and then I'd put like a big pink star next to it so I knew that was Cherry information.
Yeah.
And then like when I started learning Marcia, I was like on a separate part being like, okay, this is the Marcia information, big blue star, or I mean big green star.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that I could like separate them in my mind. And then once I had the full track, then I like wrote it down on my phone. I could find it for you. Let's see.
I know on the takeover she just did that Gina was showing something really similar that she did for like the tour where she had just one notebook where she had all the tracks and she would highlight it in the same colors,
Yeah.
which is I think how I haven't done coverage, but that makes the most sense to me on how to process like
Yeah.
tracking too.
I've heard from people do like sticky notes of like different
Hmm.
colors. So like, because sometimes things will change, especially like when learning a new show. I think it was different like coming into a show, like there wasn't going to be a lot of changes happening.
Yeah.
But I know like creating a new show, people do like sticky notes of like, okay, in this person's track, they're
Hmm.
doing this. And so if that thing changes, they can just take the sticky note and throw it away rather than like erasing your whole
Hmm.
script because that gets a little chaotic. But yeah, so my like cherry tracking, Act One, Tulsa 67, and this is just literally everything that
Hmm.
I'm doing on and off stage. And so when I first was like going on, I could be like, oh my gosh, what does Marcia do in the Rumble at this part? Like I don't remember
Yeah.
because I just did cherry yesterday or like things like that.
Yeah.
So um I think that was super helpful. And still sometimes I'll go back being like, haven't done Bev in a while. Which count does she turn on? Got it,
Mm.
you know? And so just like having those things was
Hmm.
continues to be super valuable for me.
Yeah. I that's something like I not think about a lot, but that I do think about like when I'm seeing a show like The Outsiders where there's a lot of like partnering choreography that like
Mhm.
looks the same to like an audience, but is definitely different for like the actor who's doing it. So I think about sometimes like those people that are doing multiple tracks, like that has to be not a lot to keep track of. I mean, a lot to keep track of, but just a lot to like think about while you're doing a show. Like I feel like there probably comes a point where it becomes a little more like second nature, maybe for like the principal tracks. But like I know if I was someone who had like five ensemble tracks, that I constantly would be thinking about like the counts and all of that because like obviously you don't want to mess that up, so it's a big role, but
Yeah.
you guys are awesome. Yeah, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but you obviously took over Maggie Kuntz's track in
Mhm.
this show almost a year into its run. That close. It was like January, I think,
Yeah.
right? Was that when she left? Awesome. So we're getting there. But what was the biggest challenge of jumping into a show like this that had already been running for so long, is currently open-ended, and had such a strong fan base already?
Yeah, I think it was so intimidating. Like I came and watched the show like after my first like little day of introduction rehearsals. And I had seen the show previously, but watching it, like knowing that you're gonna do it, I was
Yeah.
like so excited and like crying and like so grateful. But at the same time, I was like, how am I going to learn this? Because when you're watching the whole piece, there's so many moments like you've seen the show?
Yes, I have a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I am obsessed. The fire, like there's so many boards moving and there's people crossing the stage and there's fire on the like there's
Yeah.
so much going on that I was like, "Oh my goodness, like how am I gonna do this?" And that's when like the reminder in my brain being like, "Okay, you're enough. You got this. Like you're
Yeah.
capable and there's going to be people helping you and you're not alone in this." And then when I started learning each track, I was like, okay, I can do it because yes, it looks like this huge, amazing piece of art, but when you break it down to one track, it's like, okay, this is where Marcia goes. Got it. That's all I have to do today. And then I learned, okay, this is where Bev goes. I'm like, got it. I can remember those two things in the fire. Like, that's easy, instead of being like, I have a whole show to learn
Yeah.
and like the fires, like I think breaking it down to like, okay, this is the one track I have to know today. And so I think that was super helpful for my brain, like affirming to myself that like I'm
Yeah.
capable. They hired me because they know that I can do it and believe in me and see the potential in me. That was also something that felt crazy. I was like, okay, you've seen me like sing and dance, but like how do you know I can do it? But like they're trained they're capable of choosing you. And I think I had to like keep reminding myself that like, okay, they hired me to do this and I'm capable. That was like a big over and over in my head. And still sometimes I'm like, I went on for Marcia earlier this week and I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm sore today. I'm a little tired, but like I'm so grateful to be here and this is my dream and I can do it. So I think that's been like a theme for sure. Um, but yeah, I think like although intimidating, um, believing in yourself was like what got me through.
And that's something that like I sometimes as an audience member have to remind myself, because I think no matter how much I genuinely do love covers and getting to see them and go to shows to see them, sometimes it is disappointing when certain people aren't on. So I have to remind myself too sometimes that like this person wouldn't have been hired to do this track if they couldn't do it. Like, going into
Totally.
seeing covers, like there's been like I remember first time I went to New York was in October of 21, and Jeremy called it Little Shop of Horrors, and I was like, this is the worst day of my life. It was literally fine. His Evan Alexander Smith went on, and he was incredible. And I went on his Instagram the next day, and he was like, "Oh, just made my Seymour debut last night." And I was like,
Oh,
"Debut? I thought you did that 500 times."
yeah,
So
yeah.
that it's always like it is really wonderful to get to be a part of that. And like I always have to like sympathize with people who are like upset, but also with the actors who know that people are feeling that way, that still have to go on and still do this track so they have a show. So there's like a lot to kind of unpack with that, I think, from both sides, that I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you missed performing with in The Outsiders that you wish you got to do the show with, like someone who you just were never in the company with, or you were and you just never got to go
Wow.
on?
I think I think I've done the show with everyone except for the people that
Yeah.
left right when I got there. So Maggie and
Hmm.
Josh Boone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm like trying to think. Oh, I guess there was a couple people that had left prior, but um or maybe just one. But I think, yeah, I think doing the show with Maggie would have been so cool, like especially because she knows that booth track. And so like I think
Yeah.
being on stage with her or like being in the booth with her. But I got to trail her backstage and I
Oh,
got
that's
to
awesome.
watch her do Cherry a bunch of times. And so I think like I definitely got to work with her and think she's like so amazing and kind and smart and awesome. And then like Josh Boone, I got to like see work and like
Yeah.
we never rehearsed together or performed together, but he was always super kind as when I was like in the building and around. And so I think doing the show with him would have been so cool. I think his Dali was so powerful and his voice is amazing. And yeah, I think performing with those two would have been super cool.
The first time I saw it actually was January of this year, and I got to Maggie was on for Cherry that night,
Oh,
and it was so awesome, and I loved it. And then like when I came back in March, because that was the next time I went, like her and so many people were gone. I was like, I think I came at the perfect time to see her and everybody that had left during those couple months because they were all just super awesome from an audience. I loved getting to see all of them. Um, okay, maybe slightly understated when I said I've been a couple times. I've been to the show. I've been to it. And I've also gotten to see the touring company a couple times, which is awesome. I flew to Tulsa to go see it. It was great.
oh, that's awesome.
But one of the performances that I was at was your Bev debut, which was the last of the
Oh,
three Soch girls that you debuted in. So
yeah.
was there like, I don't know, like were the like nerves of going on for that track different than when you went on for Marcia or Cherry? Because I know that Marcia was the one that you went on for as like your full on
Yeah.
stage debut. And then Cherry, of course, is principal tracks. That was your Broadway principal debut. So like what was kind of different
Yeah.
about going on for Bev and having the experience of doing Marcia and Cherry already?
Yeah, I'm looking at my I keep a count of like how many shows I've done and like
Oh,
when
I
I did.
love that.
Um so yeah, so I made my Broadway debut as Marcia and that was just like unbelievable. I feel like I was on like cloud nine. And so that was like a really cool experience. And
Yes.
like yes, mistakes were made, but it was like it was awesome. It was awesome. And then so that was February of this year. And then February 27th and then like how many days later was this? So that was doo, 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 doo. February, oh gosh, too far. February 27th was a Thursday. And then that Saturday, I went on for Cherry. So it was like,
Awesome.
we're doing it. We're in. We're locked into the show. We're doing it. So that also felt like really high energy, like so fun. I fell during my Cherry debut, like right front and center. And I was like, you know what? It happens. We're here. It's awesome. And then I didn't go on for Bev until May. Is that right? I think probably.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it was like the
Like you were
last
there.
Sunday in May or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So May, I have May 25th. So it was
Mhm.
like, and I had gone on a bunch more times for Marcia and
Yeah.
Cherry. So Bev was like way later for me.
Mhm.
So it felt way different. I think the nerves were still there for sure. It's like a new track that you're doing, but I had been in more rehearsals for it. I think I had, but I also felt really prepared for both my Marcia and Cherry. I felt like
Mhm. Yeah.
I knew the tracks and it wasn't like a last minute thing. Like I hadn't
Yeah.
been knowing my tracks, which is awesome. Um, and so I felt really prepared for all three of them. But I think Beverly felt really different because she has some like featured moments, but not any
Yeah.
spoken dialogue, so that felt different. Um, I think the double cartwheel that she does in the drive-in where she's like flung around. I was like so nervous because I had done it before and we had done it in rehearsals, but it's just a wild experience to be like literally just like upside down, like stiff as a board. Like you're just like
Yeah.
literally being flung in the air and you're like, well, hope this goes well. Like like it just but I trust the people that taught it to me and the people that were my partners. I always feel super safe with them. Um, but so I think it was just a different experience all around, but it was really fun and exciting, and I felt like I felt like it went well from what I remember. I feel like the first time
Yeah.
you do a track, you're kind of like, okay, we're doing it, But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I remember that was like the like two show like Memorial Day Sunday or whatever.
mhm,
And I was only gonna go to the matinee. And then I think it was like the day before Melody posted that she was on for Cherry. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go to both.
like
But I had a
great.
friend text me that was like, what if you get Hailey's Bev debut? And I like genuinely was like, she hasn't done that yet. Like she's just been there for like
Yeah.
a few months at that point. I had seen you do Marcia and Cherry so many times. I was like surprised that you hadn't gone on yet, but that was just a super fun performance. And I this is funny enough. I wasn't at your Cherry debut, but I was at your first one with Josh Pony, which that was an awesome show. It was my birthday show. So thank you for being my birthday cherry. But I remember that you were telling me, my friends at Stage Door, that part of like your acting for Cherry that night were influenced by Josh and the audience crying, which is a very valid experience that happens
Mm,
to me every time I see him in any track. But I'm kind of
yeah.
curious, how big of an impact does the audience usually have on you as an actor, not just in the Cherry track, but in any of the tracks for this show?
Yeah. The audience or like the people on stage?
I think both.
Both. Yeah, because I think Josh that night, like I hadn't done it with him, and he like the tears were flowing. I
It's
was like,
bad.
word. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, and seeing that, I think especially in that last scene, I did it with him. Was it last week? I don't remember. But I did it with him recently. And again, in that last scene, he just like somehow is able to like unlock something that like just lets his eyes like literally water and like streams. I had never like seen like even like well no, that's not true. But like just streams of tears coming down his face. And in that last scene, like seeing Pony Boy as this like broken, like sad young boy that like only a short time ago was I at the drive-in with him, like
Yeah.
singing and like learning about each other, like seeing the flip, the like 180, and him just like sobbing was like, it's like every time I'm like, not you making me cry, Joshy. I'm like, no, Joshy, I want to hug you. Like,
Yeah.
it's like so sweet. But then, yeah, I think the audience, like the energy that the audience brings, like, is so impactful to what we're feeling on
Yeah.
stage. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like when the audience is like engaged and like reactive in a way that's like honest and true, because I think
Mm,
sometimes
yeah.
like there's moments where it's like a little distracting. But when like there's laughter and energy and focus, it's like so like it just like it's like a
Yeah.
battery. It's like what we run on. It's like it's fuel for us. And so that's always like super, super exciting. And I think hearing like personally from people at Stage Door being like, this really impacted me today, and I'm grateful for that, like only makes me want to like do more, like makes me want to keep being honest in my performances and because I'm seeing one-on-one like how it's affecting people. So I think, yeah, I think that audience performer relationship is super valuable.
And I love it as an audience member too. Like I know sometimes I like there's been a couple times I've seen it, I've been like, this is like kind of a dead audience today. And like not that that's a bad thing, but it doesn't like necessarily take me out of the show, but I don't know. I love it when it's like a crowd that, like you said, is like in the like honest reactions, because sometimes it can get like a little much, as someone else who's also sitting in it. So for our end here, I have a couple this or that questions from shows that you've been a cover in. We're
Fun.
gonna start with Frozen,
Uh-huh.
Dangerous to Dream or Monster, if you had to pick a song.
Oh, those are hard
I
because they're
couldn't
both
even think of an answer.
so good. Probably Monster. I love singing that
Yeah,
song. It's
yeah.
good.
That was the
Both.
first, I think, thing from the Frozen musical that ever saw, was like that like Broadway world video or whatever of like Casey Lemmy
Mhm.
singing it. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this is good.
it's brilliant.
Yes. 42nd Street, big tap show. We talked about it a little bit.
Mhm.
Time steps or Broadways, or do you have another like very stereotypical tap step that you like to
Mhm.
do?
I love a time step.
They're
Let's
classic. You can
do
never get
it.
enough of them. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of fun things you can do. You can jazz up a time step a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Rock of Ages, Drew and Sherry or Dennis and Lonnie.
Oh, I feel like Dennis and Lonnie,
It's just
like
too good. Like
It's
the
just,
first time I saw that show, I didn't know anything about the plot. And once we got to that song, I
yeah,
was like, great,
you're like
having a
awesome.
wonderful time. Did you hear about the circus cats that the Paramount did? This was an understudy, this was just a show that you did. But because I went to that production and it was the craziest thing I ever saw in my life. It was
Work.
literally, it was literally circus cats, like Grisabella flew, and we were like, great.
And
And they
you're
like
like, great,
trapeze the whole show. It was
that's amazing.
insane. But Circus Cats or Cats the Jellicle Ball, the revival, or the little Broadway, off Broadway.
Oh, okay. I like haven't seen either, but
Yeah.
from what I've seen of the Jellicle Ball, I'm like, I need to see it. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it looks incredible. So I'm gonna say that even though I haven't seen either, so I don't know if it's fair for me to
I
pick.
haven't seen the Jellicle Ball Cats, but I have a friend who saw it off Broadway that is so adamant that I go see it. So
Yeah,
maybe when I'm there in March, I'll go.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Of
talking this morning.
course.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Do you have anything coming up that you'd like to promote? Any words of wisdom for the end?
Come see The Outsiders. I'm like, that's what I have to promote. Uh,
Yeah.
words of wisdom, I think be kind to yourself, be kind to others. That's like
Yeah.
that will always win.
Yes, absolutely. That is a great golden rule. Thank you again for meeting with us. It
Yeah,
was
of
great to have
course.
you.
Thank you. Good to meet you.